Om Sahana Vavatu.
Om Sahana Vavatu.
Sahanau Bhunaktu.
Sahanau Bhunaktu.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Brahma Vidapnoti Param.
Om Brahma.
I thought you all had written it down when we had it the first day. Om Brahma Vid.
Om Brahma Vid.
Apnoti Param.
Apnoti Param.
Apnoti Param.
Apnoti Param.
Tadeshabhyukta. Tadeshabhyukta. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Yo Veda Nihitam. Yo Veda Nihitam. Guhayam.
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 Parame Vyoman.
Parame Vyoman.
Soshnute.
Soshnute.
Sarvan Kamaan Saha.
Sarvam Kamaan Saha.
Brahmana Vipaschiteti.
Brahmana Vipaschiteti.
Okay. Got it. The knower of Brahman, which is oneself, gains what? Ice cream? Better than ice cream. Gains the whole, gains the ultimate. The person who is the knower of Brahman is already the ultimate. Yeah, and that's the ultimate fact. But in knowing Brahman, can I ask you to shift over there, please? Is that okay? Yeah. Sit next to Dottie if you don't mind. Yeah. So, in knowing Brahman, what happens is that one understands that one is already non-separate from that which is the whole. What do I desire to be? Whole. What am I? Whole. When am I? Whole. Always. Yeah. When you're always whole, you become holy. Yeah, that's what it is. When you know you're always whole, you're holy. So this is the whole teaching. We have been looking at Sat, existence, that which exists, where time and space, whenever we think of existence, time comes into the consciousness. Into the reckoning of existence, time always comes. You cannot think of existence without time. How long will this pot be? Until it becomes cracked pot. That's all. How long will this thought be? Until it becomes another thought. That thought goes, another thought comes. Each thing has a certain length of time. But if you look at time itself, If we look into deeply what is time, the truth of time, timelessness. We already took that time apart. We took time to take time apart the other day. Supposing I say, Ramu, name of one fellow, cooks. Ramu cooks. In fact, he is a cook, let's say. He cooks. What is his job? He cooks. And supposing he's making a feast for 50 people, and for 4 hours he's in the kitchen, because that's how long it takes, lot of dishes he's making. So when Ramu is, somebody asks, what is Ramu doing? Cooking. Half an hour later, what is Ramu doing? Cooking. What is Ramu doing? Cooking. What is Ramu doing? You'll get bored if I say that. Cooking. Is he cooking the whole time? No, he's cutting vegetables. In the middle, he's also having a little snack, because 4 hours, He's tasting what he made. He's putting things together. So all these various activities come under the rubric of cooking. That's all it is. Cook all the way. And that itself shows that cooking, that ing, is really the truth of the self. Being. ing. Yeah. This is Sat. And then this existence, this existent thing that we are talking about, which in itself doesn't depend on anything or anybody, and which the whole world depends on, including this body, mind, sense complex, the whole world depends on what? Sat. Oh, without Sat, no existence. Yeah. So, where do I find this Sat? I really need to lean on it. You are it. Oh, that's a little too hard to digest yet. Yeah, that's why we have one more day. You are it. You are that which doesn't lean on anything. In fact, everything leans on you. Why? Because you are the only thing that is Sat. Everything else is not Sat. Why? Because ultimately the whole thing is just nothing but Sat. Even you say not Sat, ultimately all that guest host business that we were talking yesterday is swallowed up in that knowledge that everything is I alone. This Sat. Is this Sat a conscious thing? Or is this Sat a thing that is not sentient? Is this Sat a conscious being?
Sentient, we learned
Huh?
yesterday.
Yeah, it is sentient. Because why you pinch yourself? If you say ow, then that means Sat is sentient. Simple test. Yeah. Prick yourself, prod yourself, poke yourself, pinch yourself. Ow, okay, Sat is sentient. But then if everything is Sat and Sat is sentient, that sentient Sat is known as Jnanam. Sat Chit. Chit is Jnanam, Jnanam is Chit. Chit means consciousness. Then how come this table doesn't say anything if I sit on it? The sofa doesn't complain when I sit on it. That is because of the absence or presence of a subtle body. Yeah. So if there is a subtle body, then it will do certain things. It will have the capacity to express the Chit, to express this Jnanam, to express this sentience. It will have the wherewithal. If there is no subtle body, it will not have the wherewithal. It will just keep quiet no matter what you do to it. That's how pot becomes crackpot, because it doesn't have a subtle body to say, no, put me down, don't hold me with one hand like this, don't try to balance me, because the last time you did that, I became a crackpot. It doesn't say that. It doesn't have the capacity to declare that it is Sat Chit, even though it is Sat Chit. So Chit consciousness. Okay? Here, come. Chit is consciousness. Consciousness is that which is free of any kind of conditioning or duality. When you say knowledge, knowledge of what? There is always the knower known separation. Knower known knowledge. Separation is always there. Knowledge, something that I need to know. I, the knower, and the process of knowing, all that is separate. And every object in the universe, this is important, every object in the universe is known through this separation. In fact, without the separation, you cannot know this pot. If this pot is you, you cannot know this pot as pot. Yeah. Every object in the universe is known through a process of objectification. Yeah. When I say I like this flower, what am I saying? I like this which is an object. I objectify the flower. If I say someone likes somebody else, two friends, they like each other, each person is objectifying the other. Objectifying the other is what they can see. Body, mind, sense, complex. And perhaps if you are psychic, you can read some thoughts. Right? Yeah. Perhaps if you are psychic, you can read some thoughts. Yeah. You know, Haley, I think you're in line with the camera.
Am I?
Little bit this
Okay.
way. Come
it's
this.
just the light was like right in
Yeah,
my
come
eye.
sit under the chair.
Okay. Okay.
There we go. Okay. All right. Everybody happy?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
The whole thing is that when I know something, I. So when you say, I know this person, I have fallen in love with this person, what have you fallen in love with? Not the person. You have fallen in love with the body, the mind, the senses, really. Only the things you can objectify. Supposing you say, I like how you think. That means what? You have an idea of how the person thinks. You objectify the person's thoughts. And if you are psychic, you could also objectify the person's intentions. Oh, now you are going to do that. Oh, really? How did you know? Because I am psychic. Yeah. So you can objectify perhaps the person's unconscious, perhaps the person's intentions, but you cannot objectify the person. The person is free of objectification because that person, that Atma, that self and this self are one self, one non-dual self. So many bodies in the room, many minds in the room, many sense objects, many sense organs, many hairs on the head, you know. So many things, one self, one Sat Chit which is upholding everything. One knowledgeable conscious entity which is called the self, which is called Atma, which is the same as Brahman, one Brahman upholding everything. So you see what I am trying to say? If you know Brahman, you know everything. Why? Because that is the one that upholds everything. So instead of, doing a PhD on every hair on the head, you just learn what is the head. That's all. Yeah. So this is the whole kind of a thing. The conscious entity which is upholding everything, that is me alone. No, you must be thinking of someone else. You can't be thinking of me because you know me. That conscious entity is the cause. I am because. That conscious entity is all. I am small. Yeah. That conscious entity is knowing. I am unknowing most of the time. Most of the time I don't know if I am coming or going. Yeah. Yeah. Like those ladies who, those old ladies, elderly ladies, used to meet for tea. One every Tuesday afternoon or something. They had a ritual. One was 75, one was 85, one was 95. And the 75-year-old one time said, what did she say? She said, I don't know about you too, but my memory is going. My memory is becoming less and less. She said, the other day, I was standing, in front of my front door, and I don't know if I was going out or if I was coming in. The 85-year-old said, that's nothing. I was in the shower and I don't know if I was about to take a shower or if I had already taken a shower. The 95-year-old said, I don't know what you are all talking about. She's 95, Yeah. I don't have this problem, she said. And you are so much younger than me. How come you have this problem? She said, knock on wood. Thank God I don't have this problem. Come in. Knock, knock, she said, knocked on the wood. Come in, who is there? So that is what. So the whole thing is based on that which doesn't come and go, that which is not even upheld by memory. So even the 75, 85, 95, memory, no memory, that which is constant, which is sentience itself. Why is it sentience? Because it even upholds the forgetting, which is wonderful. That I don't have a memory, how do I know? That is what it is. That witness, the Sakshi, is who it is. Now we run into some problems, okay? And that is okay, because that is the bread and butter of Vedanta. To run into problems and then to make them disappear. Yeah. So the first problem is this, which has been talked about from day one. How do I know I am the whole? How do I know? What is this? What is the thing that makes me know that? How do I know this? What do I have to do in order to know this? Who am I? What is all this? Etc. etc. And this Jnanam is, like I said yesterday, it is called a Mahavakya. Mahavakya means a sentence that expresses the non-duality between one's self and Brahman in the form of Ishvara. Between oneself and Brahman as the cause of the universe. Yeah. So are there two Brahmans? One which is not the cause of the universe and one which is the cause of the universe? No. There is only one Brahman. And when there is the universe, that Brahman happens to be expressing itself as the cause of the universe. If there is no universe, it is in a causal form. That's all. The potential exists. Okay? So this, that which is the cause of the universe is something I am. How do I understand it? Because the same Sat-Chit, that Ishvara, the cause of the universe, we use the word Ishvara. Ish, to nurture, to nourish, to have some kind of an overlordship, to be in charge, to nurture. Vara means what? All the time, always. Varach is a pratyaya. Pratyaya means a suffix which means always. Like Bhasvara, always shining. Nashvara, always subject to destruction. Ishvara, always in charge, always nurturing. It's not like suddenly one day Ishvara says, oh, I have been overpowered by what? Some devil-like entity. We don't have a concept of the devil. If devil becomes a parallel reality to Ishvara or God, what happens is that we run into the risk of saying that it has its own domain and then Ishvara is no longer limitless. We cannot establish Advaita at all, non-duality. Yeah. So then, if the vision of the Shastra is you are Ishvara, then you have to understand Ishvara. How can you say I am Ishvara without knowing what Ishvara is? No, I'm much more, I like Brahman. It sounds better. It's easy, I can get it. This Ishvara business, why you want to bring and, make my life difficult? I like Brahman because I can meditate. I am Brahman. I should become Brahman. If I am not Brahman, I should become Brahman now. Like there is even a thing. There is a saying in Sanskrit, Brahmara Kitavat. Apparently, they have seen two discrete acts. They have seen a worm go into the mouth of a small hole in a tree. Then they see it come out as a bee, apparently. So the Kim Vadanti means the belief is, this is a Vedic example, the belief is that there is already a bee there inside. And the bee gets so mad that this worm has come and intruded on the hole. It's little, hiding space, a wasp actually, not bee, wasp. So the wasp keeps on stinging the worm, right? How many times? Until it also becomes a wasp. And the wasp flies out. So you see the worm going in and the wasp flying out. So here, this worm-like lowly fellow, the lowly mortal who is less than a worm, oh, the whole world is so difficult to live in. Let me just crawl around for a little while. Let me creep around when nobody is looking. Let me just, even a worm is better than me. Let me just worship the worm and let me just go under the covers and never come out. So this worming around individual says what, goes to the meditation room, and says, let me become Brahman now, let me become Brahman now, let me become Brahman now, and becomes Brahman. Yeah, because if you say it enough times, then you start to believe it. Yeah, I'm no good. Try saying it. I'm no good. I'm no good. I'm a loser. I'm a loser. I'm a loser. I'm no good. I am useless. You don't even need to say it 108 times. Like, we have our sayings where we say things 108 times, our worship. You can just say, I am no good once. And then, the first time you say, oh, this is just an exercise, this is for fun. I am no good. Really, wait a minute, that sounded real. I'm no good? Really? No, I'm no good. Third time you are convinced. Yeah. So you can believe in anything. But unfortunately, Vedanta and here Brahman is not a matter for belief. It's a matter for understanding. Because you can believe something and then that does not solve the fundamental problem. What is the problem? I am not okay. I am no good is the problem. Yeah, I am no good, I am not okay without all these props. Like that cherry tree in Eugene. Have you seen that? Yeah, you should go and see. It's by the river. Held up by so many props. 136-year-old cherry tree. So like that. I'm no good, I'm no good, I need somebody to lean on. And whoever I lean on also falls down because they need somebody else to lean on. This is samsara. Samsara means that which keeps going round and round. Each thing is finite and each time I'm confronted with the finiteness of anything, I get sad, angry and disappointed. This is my thing. I cannot accept that things are finite. Why? Because I want something out of each finite thing. So this is, this is all, I don't know what to call it. It's like some new age. Yeah, let's call it new age. So the new age thing, they will also say, we are God. Yeah, I am God, God alone. Oh, forgot to record. We're speaking of God. Okay, I'll record now. See, not even 2 minutes early works. Yeah. So hang on everybody, I'm recording. Okay, alright. So, so the thing is, the fundamental problem is not solved by saying what? I am God, I am God, I am God. No, because you feel odd saying that, first of all. You don't feel like God, you feel like, you're odd. So this is something one has to really understand, is that there is this big penchant for Vedanta in terms of, okay, I am God, fine, That means what? I should have lots of powers. I should be able to manifest. I should think of, ice cream, it should just melt into my hand. It should just come. I should think of something and it should appear. I should think of going to Cancun and I should be there. Kinesis. No, telekinesis is moving things, moving oneself. Yeah. Then I should be able to read each and every person's mind. How boring, I should be able to manifest things. I should be able to cure diseases on my own, whatever happens to me. Why? Because I am God. This is wrong. Yeah, this is the problem. So on the one hand, we have these kinds of people getting frustrated with themselves, saying that if I am God, then why am I not able to just go and cure this disease? Why do I need a doctor if I am God? There are people who say that. Then it's a certain kind of a hubris. Why? Because the knowledge hasn't taken place. The knowledge has to come. It's not about what you're able to manifest, It's in fact not about manifestation, because what we have is the greatest manifestation that there is. You don't need to manifest anything, because you yourself are the manifestation of the greatest thing, which is Ishvara Sat Chit Ananda. But still there is this whole kind of a thing. So on the one hand we have those kinds of people. Belief system. Another belief system is this, that don't bring God into the picture. Why? Because we are fine. Brahman is okay. It sounds good. It has nothing to do with God. It is there by itself. Like, yesterday we talked about Sat as a host sitting there. Doesn't, intrude into the life of the guest. Doesn't intrude into my life. And I don't have to deal with, the unconscious. I don't have to deal with any other entity that has power over me. Because why? This is the problem. The problem of human limitation is that somebody else is more powerful than me. In childhood it was my mother, father. In adulthood there are so many people that have power over me. So this whole authority problem is a very, very important problem that has to be confronted and overcome, really. That is why a number of people are drawn to Buddhism. Because you don't have to talk about God. You sit and meditate, you watch the mind, you feel good also. Because anytime you watch the mind, all kinds of antics, the mind is not doing a tightrope walk. Each time it's watched, it calms down and you can go, you can, say, so you do something and go. And only those aspects of Buddhism, those, what's the word for it? Not practices, branches. Those branches or sects. Those sects of Buddhism that do not embody the Buddha as Ishvara are the ones the Westerners like. Are the ones most of the people like, because you don't have to deal with any figure. Yeah. There is an allergy for Ishvara. You say the word God and you get a rash. Yeah. Immediately you start to scratch, you start to squirm, you want to leave the room. Or you want to fall asleep. All that happens. Ishvara allergy is there. Yeah. Some kind of a problem. Not to even understand what is it that we are talking about, because there is a denial. There is a fundamental denial of the fact that, even though I may be Ishvara in terms of Satchitananda being that sentience, like even though pot space may be the same as the space around it, the same as the space out in the open, still in terms of being the pot space, it is conditioned by the name and the form of what? The pot. It is as though conditioned. It's not really conditioned, but it's as though conditioned. So this jiva, this person who is, limitless, is expressing that limitlessness through a limited body, and everybody knows the body is limited. Yeah. All you need is just, a few days, even in the course of one day. Morning starts off fine. In the afternoon, I just open the cupboard and try to reach out something. And then the evening, I have a crick in the back. That's all it is. Body is finite, body is, completely, what's the word for it? Succumbs to all kinds of problems. The body is just completely limited. The mind also limited. The senses limited. And the expression, this I, the ignorant I, the I that doesn't yet have the knowledge that I am the whole, is what? Identifies with this body-mind complex. The body is, me, yes. The mind is me. The senses are me. But I am not just the body. That is not known. I am not just the mind. I am not just the senses. I am much more than the body-mind sense complex. That is not known. And so, with not knowing that is a very costly mistake, because I start thinking I am no good. I am as good as this body. What is this body good for? Nothing. I am as good as this mind. What is this mind good for? No, nothing. I already told you I have a no good mantra. Yeah. So, what are the senses good for? Nothing. And so one starts to, be filled with self-doubt, and one, at the same time that one is filled with self-doubt, want that same jiva means this person who is identified with the limitations, the knower, known, knowledge, distinction, the one who always sees the world as in and through the duality. This person is what? Is overwhelmed by what he is not, by what she is not. The person is totally overwhelmed by what she or he is not. Yesterday I said the fear comes from this overwhelming. Overwhelmed that I am not this, so whatever I am not, I am afraid of. So one understands very quickly in life the meaning of no. Even before one talks, one knows the meaning of no. Harindar's child knows. He will go like this. If she knows that she's not supposed to put something in her mouth, she'll go like this. She can't talk, but she will shake her head. She's only 9-10 months old. So one knows the meaning of no, and there seem to be so many more no's than yeses. And this is the limitation. This is where one identifies with the limitation. So how is this limited jiva, the one who is completely identified with the body, mind, sense complex? I am as good as the body, I am as good as the mind, I am as good as my child, and I am as good as the carpet in the house, I am as good as what I eat, I am as good as what I don't eat. You can go on and on. I am as good as how much money I don't have. Yeah. So all this you can, you believe in. How can this person who is identified with the limitations say, I am Param Brahma, I am that ultimate which is Brahman? Not possible. Why? Because there is something in the way. What is that in the way? Jagat. This manifest world is in the way. So you cannot skip the manifest world and go into some kind of dissociation. Yeah, this is the problem. This is why people don't, come to traditions that have an understanding of God. Yeah. They are not popular. Even Vedanta in the olden times was not popular. Adi Shankara had 4 students. You see. Yeah. You've seen picture of Adi Shankaracharya? How many students were there? 4. Yeah. I think we are doing well here. So, because I think now it is Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means that time where it is very difficult to follow dharma. It's very difficult to follow the righteousness. So that's why this knowledge is needed much more now. Yeah. So even then Vedanta was not popular. What was popular was yajnas. We are going to have one on Saturday. You can come. You can all come. We'll have a nice yajna on Saturday. We already have the ghee for it. We are going to have a yajna for Deepavali. So this is the thing, the whole, what is that? The people did not, you cannot sort of bypass what is right in front of you. You cannot bypass the manifest world and go and see that which is Brahman, which is the stuff with which the world is made of. You cannot skip to Satchidananda Because, hello, that Satchidananda is in the form of a gatekeeper, Ishvara. Yeah. The Satchidananda you cannot see as just as Brahman without the Brahman without being the cause of the Jagat, because that causal status is not lost. The causal status always is there as long as the manifest world is there. You cannot make the manifest world go away except through knowledge and understanding. The same way as we made the pot disappear. How? In the light of the understanding, all there is clay. Ishavasyam idagam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha magridha kasya svidhanam kurvanneveha karmaani jijivishetchatagam samaaha evam tvainanyate osti na karma lipyate nare. This is another Upanishad. Yeah, what else can one Upanishad quote? It has to quote another Upanishad. It cannot quote a human being. Yeah. Ishavasya Upanishad. Vasya means inhabited by. What? Ishvara. Isha. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Idam sarvam. Everything that is here, including this body, mind, sense complex, is pervaded by. Vasya means is inhabited by Ishvara. Oh, this, makes it a little more complicated. Why? Because you cannot bypass Ishvara. The Brahman that you are seeking to know is in the form of Ishvara. So how can you say, get side Ishvara, let me have a view of Brahman? Yeah, you cannot. Because if there is a manifest world, who is the manifester? Who is the giver? If everything is given, who is the giver? Who is the one who is there? Who is the one who causes all the hurricanes to come? Who is the one who causes earthquakes and tsunamis? Who is the one who causes, even in one's own life, even in my own life, how the karma unfolds. Karma means suddenly you are feeling good, suddenly not so good. The yo-yo, that is karma. Yeah. Who is the one who manifests the karma? Who is the one who manifests all this, the whole order, the system, the laws that are there for the scientists to discover? Yeah. Who is the one who manifests? That is who one has to settle the accounts with. Otherwise, there is really no hope for learning Vedanta. You can talk the talk, yes, you can say Brahman very nicely with an authentic accent. You can say, you can learn to say Brahman. You can also learn a few things, Satyam, Mithya, orders, realities, yes, everything. You can learn. You can, drop those name dropping like people do, So you can do Vedanta term dropping here and there. But really, for those words to be worth more than just the droppings, you have to know a lot more. You have to know what they mean. You have to understand that. You have to understand it. You have to embody it, because what you're talking about and you are one and the same. But there is a certain kind of accounts that have to be settled. What is this settling accounts? What are the unsettled accounts? I want to know. Unsettled, many accounts are there. The main unsettled account is that I was a small baby. I was defenseless. I was supposed to lead an independent existence, and I didn't even know how to turn around. I was passed from adult to adult for no reason at all, except the fact that each one was more incompetent than the other. That's why. And they were all inconsistent. What a lovely baby, 1 minute. Another baby, another minute, keep quiet. You're in my way. What are you doing? Get lost. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Come. No, go. No, I didn't really mean that. You can come. But you know what? You're fine as long as you don't talk. No. All these conditions, yeah, all those conditions are the accounts that are, that are kept as a child, where in a little secret album called the unconscious. Thank God it's unconscious. Otherwise you will not be able to live with yourself, I tell you. All other people's omissions and commissions are there, written down. All your own omissions and commissions are there, written down. Only thing is, one doesn't know that they exist, therefore one can kind of be happy. Why? Because one is, one had to put a cap on that in order to survive childhood. Yeah, childhood is a difficult time for everyone. Why? Because the child doesn't have the emotional maturity or the brains to understand that really it is loved, really it's just that it's not incompetent, it's just that the people around it are incompetent, it's not its fault, it's the people, they are inconsistent, that's how people are, they are doing their best. And that, sometimes this is what happens. It doesn't have a way of dealing with all that. So again, the order of Ishvara is such that all that, like a landfill, is put under the psyche, just here, underneath. Not a physical location, okay? Don't think this is the unconscious, because I have to say all these things. Yeah. It is kept in abeyance to be able to dealt with, to be able to dealt with later when one is an adult. What happens when one is an adult? One has the brain power, the brain capacity, and the emotional maturity to be able to deal with what was not dealt with before. That is the settling of accounts. And one does that. That's why one goes to therapy, one goes to this, one goes to somebody else. That's why people get married, Because why? Because in a close relationship, when you feel close to somebody, what happens? You feel like telling them everything. And you tell them everything. And what happens? They behave just like somebody in your past. Yeah, they will listen for 5 minutes, after that they will switch off. They will listen for 5 minutes or 5 days, after that they will say, okay, you are on your trip. They will listen for 5 years, and after that they will say, what about me? So there is no one who can really help settle the unconscious or allow the unconscious to be free of the hold that it has on oneself. It's as though someone is sitting on the head. The burden of the unconscious is so strong. That is why sometimes people don't want to get close to anyone. People want to just be away. Yeah, from far it's very nice. Okay, namaste, namaste. Yeah, in India you don't even shake hands, you don't even have to touch. Namaste. Then what? Still that brooding, that thing which is the fear of being close, fear of not being close, fear of touching, fear of not touching, fear of fear, fear of, telling somebody, fear of being disappointed, fear of being hurt, fear of not being loved, fear of being abandoned. You know what? This is a huge list, bigger than Santa Claus list. Yeah. Yeah. Huge list. It's all there. That is what another name for the unconscious is vasana. In the form of the karmic imprints in this life or other lives which are not reckoned with, which do not have expression, which have a hold on the person's behavior. So that when person sees, they don't see the world as it is. They see the world as they are afraid of it, or as they don't want it to be, or as they want it to be. They see what they are afraid of, or they see what they want to see. If you see something that you fear, what is it called? That is a superimposition. It's a ashobhana adhyasa. An adhyasa, an error based on fear. Yeah. What is the classic Vedanta example? There is a hose pipe in the twilight and I mistake it for what? Snake. Yeah. Usually the example is rope snake. But one time in a class I was said, somebody said, what is rope? Then I started to say hose pipe, because now we are not in that rope mode anymore. So if there is a hose pipe lying like this in a wavy pattern, and then you say what? Ah, snake! Then you see, you have the flashlight of knowledge is shined upon the, shined, is that a word? Yeah. Shone upon the snake in inverted commas, in apostrophes, and then what do you see? The truth of the snake is revealed. What is the truth of the snake? That there was no snake. It is the hose pipe alone. Yeah. It's the hose pipe alone that was there. Where did the snake go? Where was it to begin with? Where was the snake? Here. And the snake went back to where it belonged. It got absorbed. It disappeared into the recognition that this was a hose pipe all along. It was not that it was a snake and then the snake ran away leaving the hose pipe. No. There was no other snake except in the form of the fear of snakes. Ashobhana adhyasa. Then there is another kind of adhyasa called Shobhana adhyasa, a superimposition based on unrequited desires. You are going on the beach, you see something shining. Ah, silver dollar. Oh, yes, I read in the paper that they were going to release some silver dollars. Oh, somebody has left it. You run, and it's very difficult to run in the sand. You run towards the so-called silver dollar, mother of pearl, worth nothing. Yeah. But it was shining like the silver dollar. It was as big as the silver dollar and it was as wide as the silver dollar. And of course one made the mistake to know that this is a silver dollar based on desires. The first mistake, adhyasa, is based on fear. This one is called Shobhana adhyasa, giving something more of a value than it already has. Why? Because the unconscious has not been reckoned with. Giving something less of a value than it has, like one's priorities, the unconscious needs to be reckoned with. One needs to be completely objective, seeing what is there, not seeing and hearing something based on one's own fears, based on one's own desires. Yeah. This is something that frequently happens. One is afraid of rejection. Most people are. You know, the threshold differs. Somebody you have to just look, or sometimes you have to not look at them. Then they feel rejected. Yeah. Why? You didn't look at me for 5 minutes. Yeah. It's a rejection. And sometimes, and so the threshold. Sometimes some people are okay for half an hour if you don't look at them. Yeah. After half an hour, puk, something happens here. Ah, what is happening? I'm not being looked at. I'm not, half an hour has gone by, tick. And then, there is this rejection. Some people, don't want to deal with, eye contact at all. They will close their eyes and listen because it doesn't matter. Because why deal with how many times I'm looked at or not? Let us just close the eyes and forget about it. Thankfully, it's not a problem online because, yeah. Anyway, so the thing is this, that all these fears and this rejection, yes, that's what I was talking about. So this whole fear of rejection is so powerfully projected that you manufacture rejection when it's not there. Yeah. Somebody says something. What do you hear? You hear what you don't want to hear. No, but if I don't want to hear that, why do I hear that? Because the unconscious is trying to straighten itself out. It's trying to settle accounts. It's trying to work through the feelings. It's trying to sort of say, okay, I must be abandoned. Nobody must love me. Then only I am okay. Why? Because that's how it was in the past. Yeah. So the unconscious is trying to recreate the conditions for when it will be kind of okay. But it's really not okay with those conditions, is it? No. It thinks that that's what it wants to recreate. Sometimes the unconscious wants to recreate that which it wants to work through. Yeah. So it will create all kinds of scenarios. And so the fear of rejection becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Why? Because it affects one's own behavior. It affects your behavior. So if you go into a room expecting to be rejected, what are you going to do? How are you going to enter? You're not going to enter, you're going to slink in, first of all. And then you're going to find the most remote place to sit somewhere, okay? Yeah. And then you will make a point to not interact with anybody. Why? Because there's nothing but rejection. Then at the end of the evening, what will happen? It will become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because of course if you're sitting in a corner, nobody is looking at you, and of course if you're not talking to anybody, nobody is talking to you. And then you can say, I went there, but nobody talked to me. I don't think they like me. Yeah, but why did they invite you? Yeah, they invited just because, they had to. I happened to be their neighbor and they had come to 3 of my parties, so they invited. But they didn't talk to me even once. They didn't even say, would you like something to eat? What have you forgotten? You have forgotten that you said, no, I don't want anything. This is an Indian problem. Yeah. You'll have, speaking of guests, sometimes guests will come, okay? They will have a great time. And then they will go also after their, trip is over. Then they will say, in India, you didn't ask us to eat often enough. What do you mean? There was such a lot of food in the house. No, but you didn't say please have. But we said please have. Yeah, but you said it only 3 times. This is a culturalism. Yeah. Where you don't take no for an answer. If you say no, that means what? Yes, please put some more. If you say no, please put a little bit. No, please put a tiny bit. No. Still, a little bit is all right, fine. But if you say, if you put anything else here, I'm getting up and going, then it's all right. Yeah. Sometimes that's how I have to talk. Yeah. Yeah, because even though I don't, I say I want to eat, I say I've had enough, I don't have that problem. But the culture is like that. Yeah. So the guests will come. This is again the unconscious. So the expectations are there that if I say no, somebody should come after me. This is another secret desire in the unconscious. They should notice what I'm not. How can they notice what you're not doing? It's hard enough to notice what you are doing. How do you expect someone to notice what you're not doing? Tell me. So many people, so little time, okay? But still the expectation is they will notice what I'm not doing. Like, I'm not eating enough. So what will I do? I will not eat and then hope that somebody notices it. So somebody else will say what? More for me. You don't want it? Okay, thank you so much. More for me. Yeah, there was this, family. There was this this fellow, who used to was a teenager when I knew him. He used to, now he's not. He used to go to the gym and get all strengthened up. And his appetite was ravenous. Ravenous, huge fellow. He was huge. Okay? And the mother would say, this was a story from my childhood. So they would invite me to stay with them. The mother would say, here is a nice cake. Here is a wonderful cake. Why don't you cut 3 pieces? His name was Madhav. Madhav, cut 3 pieces. And he would only cut 2. And the mother would say, How come you have cut only 2 pieces? He says, you're not seeing, count the number of pieces. 3. You both have these small pieces. I'll have the rest. Yeah. He didn't have this problem. But otherwise it's like, oh, would you like to have something? And if you're living with someone like Madhav, Madhav will take everything. And then you say, oh, nobody loves me. This is all the unconscious, all kinds of fears. It's a repository, a secret repository of fears and desires which come out when you don't want it to. Yeah. Which come out when you especially don't want it to. Yeah. And this often happens when you meet teachers and all. You go, you want to show the best side of you to the teacher. What comes out is the worst side. And you say, oh no, I want to say it properly. I want to say how I mean. It's not coming out. That is how it is. Yeah. And one has to really settle these, I am unloved. How are you going to settle that? That nobody is noticing me. How are you going to settle that? That I am abandoned. How are you going to settle that? That nobody ever, really thought of me properly. How are you going to, come to terms with that? Where is a place that you can really let this feeling completely, give full expression without the fear that the person that you are giving the full expression to is not bored of you, doesn't run away, doesn't talk back, is not afraid of you, is not afraid of your terrors and fears. Where? Where are you going to go? There is only one place, and that is Ishvara. Yeah, that is God. That is the only place. No other place. Because if you have a strong situation, oh, this happened to me, let's say X happened to me in childhood. How many people can you find to listen to you? And for how long? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. After 25 years, that feeling persists because nobody listened properly. I was not able to let it go. So all the limitations, including I have crooked teeth, I have crooked heart, I have crooked mind, I have a crooked body, everything. All crookedness, all limitations are surrendered at the feet of which? That is Ishvara. Which is the only one that is capable of accepting it, capable of taking it. Why? Because itself is free of the unconscious. If there is one entity that doesn't have the unconscious, no core issues, it's Ishvara. Why? Because Ishvara doesn't have a mind. Oh my God, is Ishvara dumb? No. Ishvara is all knowledge without the conditioning of the mind. It's the jiva that is dumb, not Ishvara. If anyone is dumb, it's the jiva. Yeah, why? Because the head is only this big. The brain cells are only that many. And even out of those brain cells, you use only 10% at the most. Einstein's brain, he used 15%. They have put it in chloroform because it's the greatest number of brain used, not chloroform, formaldehyde. Too many medical people here, Yeah. So they have put it in formaldehyde. You can go see it somewhere. It is in some museum, medical museum it will be there. And how do you know which part of the brain is used? Aha, that's why it's called grey matter. The rest of the brain is pristine, stark white. Only the part that you use is grey. Okay? Yeah. So how much grey do you have? Yeah. One has to be proud of the grey. Yeah. And usually they say you can get by with using about 10% of the brain. 8% you're a genius. 10%, 15% you're beyond a genius. Yeah. So then the whole thing. So if you have a head, you have a headache. Yeah. So if you have brains, there is a finiteness. That's what I'm talking about. There is a finiteness about having a brain, having a mind, having receptors, having what else is those starts with N, neurotransmitters, having certain, ways in which those neurons fire off information to one another. Why? Because there are only so many transmitters. There's only so much information that you can take in at a time. There's only so much you can do with your hands. There's only so far you can walk with your legs. Yeah. But I am Brahman. Yes, you are Brahman. But the thing is, there are certain realities that one has to understand. And that is called Vyavaharika. Sat is absolute reality. That's what we have been discussing. And as long as we discuss absolute reality, nobody has a problem, because really at that level there is no problem at all. All problems come when? When you start discussing this intermediate reality, which is what? Vyavaharikam, transactional reality. That this is limitless consciousness as though conditioned. Not really conditioned, because if it is real, that conditioning can never be removed. This limitless consciousness as though conditioned by a body, by a mind, by the senses. Living alongside other bodies, minds and senses, similarly conditioned. So this limited body mind sense complex with which I associate, with which I have a certain kind of a, what's its name? Association. This all pervasive Brahman, which is oneself alone, happens to come in a container, which is this human body, which is as though limited. The limitations are not real. Just like if you have a piece of crystal, and behind that you put sphatic, crystal. Behind the crystal you put red color. What will the crystal look like? Red. Then if you take that away and put yellow, the crystal becomes yellow. Then you take that away and put green, the crystal becomes green. But the crystal is not really conditioned by the color, right? Because when you take away the color, the crystal is what? Crystal. So too, this Ishvara is this in the form of this human body, which is as though limited. Yeah. The limited world of names and forms is called Vyavaharikam Jagat. A Jagat, a world that is transactional reality. And this is the transactional reality that makes one appear different from Ishvara. Otherwise, Ishvara and human being one and the same. The truth of you, Ishvara. But because of the transactional reality, it appears different. But it is not really different. What makes it different is because seen from the manifest reality of creation, every body is different from another body. You are different from you, you are different from you, you are different from you. And so everything looks so many, And anything that's different from you can come and attack you, correct? Yeah. That is the cause of fear. The cause of fear is that there is something outside of me, bigger than me, that can come and attack me. That is called prana bhaya, prana sankata. This is what it is, prana sankata. So, as long as this reality is there, one needs to relate to Ishvara. Because when you know that you are Ishvara alone, you cannot but be in awe of everything that is. Everything is so wonderful. Everything is so perfect. There is nothing wrong with the Jagat. There is nothing wrong with my life. There is nothing wrong with anything. You accept what is. But until you know it, the devotion has to be practiced. That devotion has to be practiced deliberately. It does not always come of its own accord. You have to, exercise in devotion. You have to pray. Why does one pray? Because that is the only way in which the free will is used. Yeah. The free will is used in prayer alone. Yeah. In every other pursuit that you have, whether you go after a better job, whether you go to the mall to buy something, whether you go to see a friend, whatever you do, education, all that is time bound, and it is influenced by the desires, one's own desires. I want to be famous, I want my child to study well, I want to be secure, therefore I want money. But in prayer, the will is free. The will is free only in prayer. So therefore, the transactional reality and its so-called limitations, the limitations are not real. They appear real to the one ignorant of the self. Yeah. So the transactional reality and the different problems that it brings, that can be overcome by prayer alone. Because when you pray, you tap into the order of karma. That is, as we have seen, the manifestation of Ishvara in the form of your own karma. Ishvara comes how? Through karma. The face of karma is the face of Ishvara. You don't have Ishvara living in heaven somewhere. Karma is Ishvara. Dharma is Ishvara. So you tap into the world and the flow of Ishvara by, because when did you do that karma? You don't know. You could have done it this life, you could have done it some other life. You don't know when you did it. So how do you overcome that karma? You overcome the karma by creating new karma. And the new karma is in the form of prayer. So the old karma is a virus, bad karma. It comes in the form of flu virus, let's say. So you fill in new karma, which acts as the antibody, like a flu shot for the old karma. Yes, it is very logical. So the prayer, takes away karma. That is why in that Mahalakshmi, chant that we just studied a little while ago, it says, Trikalam yaf pathen nityam mahapapa vinashanam. All the papas, all my omissions and commissions that I cannot live with, go away. How do they go away? They resolve into the limitless. And this is the resolution that one wants. This is what one is seeking. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be guilty. I don't want to be subject to fear. So how to resolve that? To resolve that, one needs to pray and to invoke Ishvara in the form of that which is free of pain, free of guilt, free of fear, free of everything. So in that invocation, when the limited invokes the limitless, what remains? Limitless. Limited is gone. Yeah. So that's why the limited surrenders to the limited in deliberate to the limitless in deliberate acts of surrender until this surrender becomes natural and it's recognized as such. That is the main, understanding of how to negotiate the second order of reality, which is called the transactional reality. First order, there is no problem. Paramarthika, Ishvara alone is there. There is nothing as Brahman alone. Then finally we have what is called Pratibhasikam. The third order of reality, Pratibhasikam, means that which appears to be real even though it's not. This is dangerous. Yeah. Garden variety, Pratibhasikam, meaning I start having some ideas. The person starts having some ideas. What are the ideas the person starts to have? The person starts to think that I must be, nobody loves me. Nobody cares about me. Nobody is, everybody has abandoned me. Mother doesn't like me. Father doesn't like me. Children don't like me. Husband doesn't like me. Wife doesn't like me. All these are coming from a reality that is powerfully projected from one's own being, just like when there is a rope lying down in a curved way and the light is not good, what do you say? Snake! But then when you shine the light, you say, this is just a hose pipe. This is just a rope lying like this. This is not a snake. How can it have any effect on me? So if a person comes and says, I was bitten by the rope snake, I was bitten by the rope snake, you will say, wait a minute, I will just call 911 and you will call for some white coated people to come and get them. But really in the everyday life, one is really worried and afraid of this rope snake. Always. When you think somebody doesn't love me, that is a rope snake. Where? In the head. Yeah, that is in the head. Nobody wants me. Why me? Rope snake. So many rope snakes in the head. At least on the ground you can shine the light and show. And here, where are you going to get the light? That is the teaching. The light of the teaching, when it's shown upon the head, really. The head needs some vitamin D, some sunlight, When the light of the teaching shines on the head, the rope snake is falsified. Where does the snake go? The snake is falsified. It resolves into the rope. Afterwards, you don't have to wash out the rope because the snake is slimy. I want to wash out the rope and make sure it's okay. No. The snake cannot touch the rope. Where the snake is in the head, the rope is real. So one has to learn to see the Jagat as it is. Not as you want it to be, as it is. Yeah. And when you really see it as Ishvara sees it, it's a benign reality. Nothing needs to change. Everything is in order, including recession, including economic problems, financial problems, physical problems, emotional problems. Everything is sthane. Sthane. In the 10th chapter, the word comes again and again. Means it is appropriate. It is fulfilling somebody's karma somewhere. Some collective karma, individual karma, something you don't know. When Ishvara comes in wearing a mask that you don't like, you just say, Tathastu, so be it. Please to give me the strength to overcome my problems. First, of course, you pray, take away the problems. If you cannot take away the problems, please give me the strength to overcome the problems. That is the only prayer. And in prayer alone, as I said, there is free will. And in that free will, there are antibodies created which help reduce the Pratibhasika, which help reduce this third level of subjective reality, my own universe. I see it because therefore it is. Not it is there, I see it. I see it because I think it is, therefore it is. That is wrong. That is what creates this feeling of alienation from Ishvara, the Pratibhasikam. So therefore, one tries to live in the world as the world is. You don't try to overcome something. You try to just look at the world how it is. There is no need to overcome the Jagat. You have to live in the Jagat. Living in the Jagat, you are freed, of the Jagat. Yeah. This is the only way. Living in it, you are not affected. Like a lotus. The lotus is given an example because of its purity. The lotus grows in the worst dank puddle, oaky fenoky swamp. It is here somewhere. Have you seen it? You have to go see it. Hot bubbles will be coming from the swamp. That is the kind of place the lotus likes to grow. But if you see the leaf of the lotus and the petals of the lotus flower, there is a certain kind of a patina, a kind of a veneer of small hairs, microscopic hairs on the leaf and on the petal. When you put water on it, or when you put any of this dark, horrible, dirty water on it, it doesn't stick, it washes off. The lotus is pure. So the lotus becomes a metaphor for Atma. The Atma is pure. The body needs a shower, yes. Whether the body needs a shower or not, the mind definitely needs a shower. Yeah. Mind has to be washed out with the soap of prayer, really. The soap of prayer is the only soap for cleaning the mind. Mind means, why is the mind dirty? Full of ragadveshas. I want this, I don't want this, all these problems. The ragadveshas are cleaned out with the soap. Sometimes you need Clorox. Yeah, you need mental Clorox in terms of japa, in terms of prayer, in terms of meditation. When the mind is cleaned out, the knowledge shines. Then the rope becomes rope, the snake crawls away. The snake of ignorance goes away, all is well. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.